In the 5th grade, my teacher handed me back a math test. I got a B+. The kid next to me, who got a C, mind you, grinned and said, "Wow, you didn't even get an A? And I thought Asians were supposed to be smart." That was the first time I realized my identity came with a label I never chose. The model minority myth tells the world that every Asian kid is a math genius, a piano prodigy, and a future neurosurgeon. Meanwhile, I still use my fingers to count. My piano career, yeah, it peaked at Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars. And the only doctor in my future is the one prescribing me anxiety medicine. But this stereotype isn't just annoying. It's a cage, one built by society and a problem only we can solve. You see, in Asian culture, education isn't just about success. It's about survival. After all, my parents didn't cross an entire ocean just for me to follow my dreams. They crossed it so I would never have to struggle like they did. But here's the question we need to ask. When does "I want what's best for you" become "I need you to be what I couldn't be"? In Confucian culture, there's a concept called xiao, filial piety. It's the idea that every Asian kid must respect their parents in a way that isn't just love, but respect, obedience, and repayment for their sacrifice. So, when my mom held my hand and said, "You'll be the doctor I never got to be," she wasn't just expecting, she was dreaming for that and that alone. And for years, I resented her for this. But what I came to realize is her expectations weren't about control. They were about fear. Fear that if I failed, her sacrifices would be worth nothing. This is what psychologist Dr. Michi Fu calls the immigrant bargain for survivalship. Parents don't just want you to succeed, they need you to. You don't see struggle because struggle isn't a part of the stereotype. But for every amazing Asian kid you see at Tsinghua, there's a kid who cracked under the pressure. For every Asian mom flexing her daughter's violin recital, there's a kid who's too burnt out to do anything. As author Celeste Ng writes, we spend our whole childhoods trying to shine, only to realize we've been polishing the wrong mirror. Ever since I could hold a pencil, the message has been clear. Study first, everything else will just come by later. But I loved being an artist where I made stupid comics with dumb lines like you see up above. My parents' favorite line, on the other hand, was simply, "Artists starve, unless they're dead, or Van Gogh, and, well, you clearly aren't either." They would tell me over and over, "We just want what's best for you." And deep down, I understood. Of course, the instability of an artist can never compare with the money and fame and success of being a doctor, but I still wanted them to support me for me. However, control won't lead to success. According to a University of Arizona study, it has showed that tiger parenting leads to 22% abandoned creative passions within only 5 years after graduation, and 40% reported career regrets. On the other hand, support can actually lead to many outcomes that we wouldn't expect. Kids with support have a 35% chance higher rate of obtaining better degrees, with 70% reporting career fulfillment. But I get it. It's hard to break out of this cycle of control, especially when there's been a mold that affected every single person through the generations. Yet, molds are meant to be broken, and sometimes the bravest thing a kid can do is simply say, "This isn't me." Now, that whisper might feel like the end of the story, but what if it's actually the beginning? The beginning of the story you write. What if your parents' greatest act of love isn't steering your ship, but instead trusting you to navigate? My shifting point came one night over something ridiculously small. I was in my room just doodling instead of studying, like I probably should have been, and my dad came in. Instead of scolding me like I expected, he sat down and flipped through the pages of my notebook. You know, in China, we say 360行，行行出状元. Every profession produces its own masters. He told me about Naja, the rebellious deity from Chinese mythology. Naja wasn't just a scholar. He was a warrior, a trickster, a rebel who defied the expectations. Yet, He was just as vital to Chinese mythology as anything else. China didn't become amazing with one type of talent, he said. It needed all kinds of people, even people like you. That night, I realized something. This model minority myth doesn't just hurt kids, it hurts all of China. A nation that once celebrated its astronomers, philosophers, painters, now pressures its kids into a single mold. But history has shown us that progress comes from diversity, not uniformity. So the next morning, when my parents handed me a notebook, they asked, "Show us the future that you want to have." It wasn't permission, it wasn't approval, but it was a start. According to the Journal of Adolescence, 58% of teens under strict control of their parents have cut ties with them by only 18 years old. On the other hand, kids with support, 72% of them has stated their parents to be amazing, trusted mentors and adults. I guess my parents chose to be a part of that 72%. As Dr. Psychologist Shefali Tisbury reminds us, love should not come with conditions. A child is not a trophy. And, well, trophies collect dust. Artists, writers, doctors who actually want to be doctors, they change the world. Right now, my parents' idea of follow your dreams comes with a little discount. Fine, be an artist, but also take one accounting class, just one, I swear. And I'm okay with that. My life, which used to be so boring and filled with things that they want, suddenly became my own. And the best part, when they stopped expecting and started dreaming, I started thriving in all aspects of my own life. So, to every parent out there, your child isn't you. They are not your second chance, and they are their own chance. And to every kid, you don't have to be that model minority, you just have to be you. Because my parents didn't cross an entire ocean for me to stand in their shadow. They crossed it so I could stand in my own light, even if it looks different from what they imagined. In China, we say, 青出于蓝而上于蓝. The student surpasses the master. Our parents' dreams got us here, yes, but our dreams will take us even further. So pick up the pen, because the rest of the story is yours to write. Thank you.